Yeah.
Okay. Now I am.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Now I see it.
Good. See how I got it to fade out there at the end? That's nice. I just
Yeah. You're getting better.
We're professionals now.
We're pros.
Yeah, we're pros. So Doc, we're episode 33.
Yep.
We're moving right along. Just quickly, I know we were talking about a couple episodes ago about, and I couldn't remember the name. It was Mike Perez, the Cuban that was based out of Ireland.
That's him.
Paul Hyde was the promoter. I think was Hyde in Ireland there. And then we were a little bit stumped on the name of the Cuban that fought Troy Ross in Germany, and it was Juan Pablo Hernandez.
That's it.
Yeah, that and Troy got ripped off there. Troy got ripped off a couple times.
Yep. Also, when he fought
Steve Cunningham, USS Cunningham.
He had that cut on his eyelid.
Yeah.
So it went to points, but he clearly had won every round.
Yeah. He had some bad luck. I mean, that's the way it goes in the sport. And then there was a fight on this weekend as well too. Another ripoff. Like it happens in boxing all the time. And I'm talking about the Kiko Martinez fight. I remember you were telling me about this kid. You were like Zelfa Barrett, right? You're like, you gotta watch this guy and stuff. And I'm watching, I'm like, man, Doss got better taste than that, man. Like he's good, but he's nothing special. And he got beat in that fight. I mean, we'll get to it and stuff. When we talk about another upset there, and that was in England as well on the same card. And Josh Warrington with getting thoroughly beat, and you can never underestimate any opponents. And we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about how you plan fights without taking care of the guys that's in front of you. He already had 2 fights scheduled on BoxRec. So
there's a lesson in that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a healthy thing to do at all, for whether it's boxing, UFC, or whatever. Looking ahead to what you've already booked. Get that. Don't book anything after that. That way the mind doesn't even go there unconsciously.
Exactly.
But we'll talk about that fight because there's a lot to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump into really quick. There was a whole bunch of fights on Saturday, and actually, yesterday we normally do a podcast, but yesterday was Valentine's Day, so I really had to make up for the Saturday when I was watching boxing from 5:00 till all the way till the last card was done, and then watched the one fight that I didn't watch that night the next day in the morning. So to get caught up, man, I gotta watch these fights. So but everything was good. We didn't do our podcast, but we're doing it today.
Yeah. It's still fresh. Yeah. So let's jump into the Joey Diaz fight.
Yeah, Jojo Diaz, Doc. And then first of all, Jojo Diaz from California, only 28, now is 31-1-1 with this weekend was a draw with Shavkat Shirkhan Rakhmonov from Tajikistan, but via Russia. Yeah, and training with Freddie Roach, exactly, at the wild card. He's from Tajikistan, but fighting out of Russia, who's now 15-0 with 1 draw, 12 KOs. with this fight being a draw, and this was a majority draw because one judge had a 115, 113 for Diaz, and the other two are 114, 114, which I agree that it should have been a draw. First, Doc, this fight was in Indo, California, and this was on the zone. So good number, a good fight. So let's hear what your thoughts are, Doc. Because first thing is, oh, sorry, I'll let you talk first. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, very close fight. You know, it's always hard to score a fight when it's that close and when one puncher is throwing a lot of volume with the odd power in there, and then almost every shot that Jojo threw were power shots.
Yeah.
And so the volume is less. The importance and from the scoring. So, you know, that I'm okay with the draw definitely in that fight, but I still really like the way Diaz fights. I think he throws a lot of, his combinations are all hard power shots. It looks like, sounds like when you hear it smacking the guy's body.
Yeah.
But entertaining fight. But I think it's good. The outcome. That's a fair outcome.
I agree. And I'm glad. I'm glad that it was an outcome like that. It wasn't just for the Golden Boy fighter. And,
or the other way around for the volume puncher.
Yeah.
It can't always be.
First of all, we have to talk about, we got Jojo Diaz coming in overweight, right?
Yeah.
At 133.6 of a scheduled 130 is a weight limit there at super featherweight. So he comes in overweight and he gets what he was saying about not making weight and stuff, and you know but Rakhmonov, the same things, she's going through the same thing, like with this whole COVID-19, you know, saunas are closed, things like that inside the hotels.
But Rakhmonov actually had COVID. He tested positive, and so did Fred. But he never gave any excuses, nothing.
Didn't. And I didn't like that about Jojo, making those excuses. Then he had a daughter, and you know those. He's eating those foods that is, you know, that are at the house, like the cookies, and they're talking like that. I'm like, are you serious, man? Like you're a professional. You're the IBF title champion. That you didn't come on weight. You get stripped of your title. And then what happens too, Doc, is that he gets stripped of the title, and then it was a $500,000 purse that he was getting for that. And not bad purse for him, but he loses 100,000 of that for the penalty for not making weight. 50 goes to Rakhmonov, and then 50 goes to the California State Athletic Commission. So it's just like, here, throw that much money away, and you know.
No, and there was a 14 pound
rehydration clause,
which is good, but I don't know, to me, he looked bigger than Rakhmonov.
He did.
Physically was a bigger presence than Rakhmonov. And you know, this is a title fight. This is a title defense fight.
Exactly.
There's no excuse. You're a professional. There's a lot of guys that are living pros, and they're living in apartments. You know, they don't have a lot of extra cash. Mm-hmm. He does. I think his situation is not as bad as these other guys trying to fight and make a living.
No, totally. He's with Golden Boy. He's well taken care of.
Yeah. I didn't like to hear that, but aside from that, I do like the way he fights.
He's a tough fighter, a good fighter. Both southpaws.
He's missing something from the top tier.
What's that?
What do you think he's missing? Because I feel he's missing something that he doesn't have to get him up to here like some of the
That
other guys.
special ingredient,
Yeah.
right? The special,
What it is.
but I mean, like you look, Doc, his beating Kevin Farmer and in that fight with a nasty cut, like one of the worst cuts that I've seen. The fight could have been stopped at any time, but
Yeah.
he, with that kind of adversity, he really came through and he beat Kevin Farmer, who's a good fighter, and beat him decisively, handily.
Yeah, but he didn't look so good against, well, he still did well, actually. I should not say that. But Gary Russell Jr. also dominated the rounds.
He did, but he also said this too, is like, I knew going into a fight with Gary Russell Jr., is a very tough fight. I want to take these chances, and you gotta take those chances. You gotta give him credit for that. But what we don't give him credit for is not making the weight and making these silly excuses about no sauna and no this and that. I mean, but my opinion on the fight itself is that Rakhmonov, like, first of all, she came out really nice, and I was like, well, I called this fight. I had said Rakhmonov was going to win this fight, and he looked like he was on his way. But then in the middle rounds, it seemed like Diaz took over, and then near the end, I don't know. No, I think the majority of the fight it was Rakhmonov, but then Diaz started taking over, like mid round, and making it a really close fight. Like he was leading, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I thought he would get the decision, but regardless, it was a good fight. And Rakhmonov too, like only 15 fights, right?
Yeah. 12
knockouts. And well coached by Freddie Roach, even though he only had 7 weeks with Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
At the Wildcard Gym, and they were saying on the DAZN network that Rakhmonov is a guy that he never used to run. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that he didn't run. And then Freddie Roach started getting to run all the. How could you be a boxer without running?
Yeah, and he still looked pretty strong right to the 12th round too. Of importance,
he did, Doc, but he wasn't how he came out of the gates.
No, true.
He was coming down, right?
Yeah, true. Both guys are lefties. That was fun to watch as well.
Yeah.
And, I thought that I think one of them had like 7 fights against other lefties. I think it was Rakhmonov had 7 fights against lefties. So he's pretty in the pros, pretty used to fighting lefties. But I like that. I like when it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't. You're right. With 2 southpaws, southpaw and a right-hander, or just 2 right-handers.
Yeah.
Then, like, so this is what Rakhmonov says. He's like, I did everything I was supposed to do. Victory was on my side. I feel like I won the fight. There were a few mistakes. We need to work on it. I did everything that was possible. There were a few mistakes, but I'll work on it. There's no perfect boxer, and I hope to gain more American fans, which I'm sure he did. But just these excuses, with the rehydration clause of being at 140, so that was good because you don't want, if the rehydration clause wasn't there, you have fighters that come overweight purposely, and then they give up. They don't care. They'll give up whatever money, and then put on an exponential amount of weight and have a significant advantage.
So I like the fine and all that, but obviously it's not enough of a deterrent. I think that automatically, let's say you don't have a rehydration clause in your contract. Mm-hmm. I think that the commission, therefore, is allowed to, when somebody comes in overweight, like Diaz did, not only that penalty, but I think the commission has a right to step in and say, okay, since you're coming in 3.5 pounds overweight, over the limit, we're going to institute a rehydration regulation under these circumstances, and you're only allowed to gain another 10 pounds, and then the other guy gain another 14 pounds. So now, even though Diaz shows up weight over, the other guy can now catch up to that weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that would be a really good regulation.
Usually how it works as well too is like, if you don't make the weight, it's up to the opponent, even if he wants to go through with the fight, because he's gonna get some of the purse money anyways, because he gets that fine money,
right? And
I'm sure the promoter will still give him some money and whatever, not his full purse, which was making $100,000 for that fight, Rakhmonov. So it's up to him if he wants to. Usually, it's up to the fighter if they want to go on with the fight or not.
But then it doesn't become a title fight, does it?
No, it's not. Only Rakhmonov could win the fight. Well, sorry, win the belt.
Win the belt, if right? I like that rule.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, and that's the way it should be. Making weight is like it's a it's a very it could be problematic, but it's a very important issue in these type of sports where you have to make weight.
Yeah.
And these rehydration clauses and guys putting on so much weight after weighing in under the limit. You see a significant. Remember Gaddy and Joey Gamache when Gaddy put on like 20 something pounds, and then knocked out Gamache so bad in New York. It was.
Yeah, you see, so it is good to have a rehydration clause. And again, I think if there's not one written in the contract, the commission should have the power to institute a regulation like that.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they'll change something there, because otherwise you get that Gaddy situation where he knocks out a guy.
Yeah.
Especially because he's got that weight.
Yeah.
All right, man. Moving along.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go over to England. See the segue?
Yeah, nice.
So nice. This is the card that started at I don't know what time it started, but the main event started at 5, and that's at the SSE Arena in Wembley. We got Josh, the Leeds Warrior Warrington, 31 years old, now falls to 30-1 with 7 KOs after being TKO'd in the 9th by only a 22-year-old Marcio Lara from Mexico, obviously from Mexico, and now moves to 22-2 with 15 KOs. So I mean, like, this was a big upset, because no one really thought that to be honest, Josh Warrington, he's got some pretty big victims on his ledger and stuff too. Carl Frampton, he beat, Lee Selby.
Yeah,
he's a really good fighter. I like watching him. He throws a lot. His output is he throws a lot of punches. You never know who you can run into, and how we talked about it. We alluded to it a little bit, Doc, that they've already had a couple other opponents in mind for after this. Eddie Hearn was talking about he wanted to bring him to America because he's very popular, a very popular fighter. He wanted to bring him over to the US and see that fan base, kind of like Ricky Hatton following him to the US. But obviously Lara had other plans, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of this fight, Doc?
So that Mexican kid was classic Mexican warrior mentality. He came forward, man, and he had a good chin. But here's what I did notice with Warrington. he doesn't have power.
So
And he
only
didn't have power.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Mauricio, the Mexican dude.
Yeah, Lara.
What was this? Lara. He held his right hand low the whole fight.
Yeah.
And that's why his right eye was getting so swollen up, because he was getting hit. He was open all night for left hooks from Warrington.
Yeah.
But Warrington doesn't have power. And if you, I'll tell you, at that weight division, if you got to go up against a guy with power and that left hook is open, you're going to go down.
For sure.
So that's what I noticed. And that's what kind of revealed to me that, at least in this fight, he didn't have power in that left hook, especially.
But yeah, he's no more of a volume puncher anyways, is Warrington, who only has 7 KOs and 30 fights. But I mean, I think the one big thing was that left hook that Lara kept landing on Warrington, and he was hurting him. Like, he dropped him in the 4th. He dropped him like pretty bad. And then when he got up from that knockdown, he was, honestly, that fight to me could have been stopped. But it went all the way to the 9th round. And it wasn't even close from the 4th round to the 9th round. And I felt bad for, you gotta let him, do you let him go out on a shield or not? I mean, he's the hometown guy. He's he vacated the belt because he took this fight instead of fighting Kid Khalid, which he was the mandatory. Kid Khalid was mandatory for the IBF. He relinquished that belt because he didn't want that rematch, because he already beat Kid Khalid in a stinker kind of fight that no one really wanted to watch anyways.
Right.
And so now then he gets an opponent like Lara, who just, man, like I said, I mean, after that 4th round knockdown, I don't think he was the same from that going on. Even though he was on his feet were shaky. He was taking a beating.
He also, even I think it was the 1st or 2nd round, he got caught with an uppercut by Mauricio, by Lara. Do you remember that?
I can't remember, because there were so many punches he got caught with. I don't know which specific.
Well, this was nice and early.
Yeah.
This stood out to me because it looked like, he stunned him a little bit. I think now he respects this guy. And maybe he showed him a little too much respect, but there were just a few holes in that game. And I think the Lara just looked hungrier. He just looked hungry.
Yeah, he did definitely. I mean, when you look at Mexican fighters, right, and Mexican fighters, like, they're coming from a background that they have to fight to survive. They're tough. All Mexican fighters are tough. Like, it's something within the country of Mexico that they're able to produce such strong fighters, such strong men. Like, these guys are strong. Like, they can take punches and they can keep coming nonstop, high altitude in Mexico City and this and that, body punching. They're always tough. And, we look at some of the Mexican rivalries and the Mexican fighters that have come over across the pond and knocked out champion and brought the belt back home. It happens so often.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was nice to see. It was still nice. It's always nice to see an upset. I think it was the odds were like 12-1.
Yeah, it was some
Lara.
Yeah.
So you would put $100 down, you would have won 1,200.
Warrington was definitely the big favorite to win that fight, and it was a huge upset. One thing I like because I think this was on Sky Sports.
It was
picked up by DAZN. But I like Tony Bellew. He's a great commentator, really good. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Tony Bellew and stuff, but I really like him as a commentator because he was speaking exactly what was transpiring, and he's supposed to really good. He's like the British version of Andre Ward. I mean,
Yeah, man, I like that. I like that too. I like
Yeah.
when former boxers are into getting into announcing too.
yeah, they give their input and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they've been
Oh.
there and done that. They
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Yeah, they've lived it.
So I mean, after the fourth knockdown, it looked like Warrington was, and so did, and Tony Bellew said the same thing too. It looked like he was finished from that point on.
Yeah.
But he took a lot of big shots. The good thing about this, Doc, regardless, there's I've seen a lot of comments and stuff. Oh, he got beat bad. Warrington got smashed. He's all hype. He's just you can't say that.
No,
about him.
No.
And the good thing about it is that after the fight, because he took some big shots and he went for a brain scan and all that after precautionary, and he was cleared of that, which is the big thing here. And now, if he can regroup from a knockout like this, it's hard to say because a lot of people can't from a devastating knockout like this. So it remains to be seen. I mean, we can't make excuses at 16 months off because of coronavirus and stuff. Everyone else is going through the same thing. Exactly. Everyone else is having 16 months off and whatever, what have you.
It's the same starting line.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't really buy that, but let's see what Warrington can do if he can get back in the 130-pound mix again.
Yeah.
We'll see. So on that same card, Doc, we'll talk about the guy that you were told one time to go check this guy out. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. And listen,
Zelfa Barrett.
Do the intro. Yeah, do the intro.
So Zelfa Barrett, 27 years old, super featherweight from Manchester. Now goes to 25-1 with 15 KOs with his 12-round unanimous decision over former world champion Kiko Martinez, who is 34 years old, 41-10 and 2 draws, 29 knockouts. Look, Kiko Martinez, first of all, like he's been in. This was a huge step up for Zelfa Barrett for sure, because Kiko Martinez has been in with. He lost to Josh Warrington, lost TKO to Leo Santa Cruz, lost by TKO to Scott Quigg. He lost to Carl Frampton. He TKO'd Osumi Hasawaga, the Japanese guy. I don't know if you remember him. I think it was a 122-pound. He was really good WBC champion Hasawaga. Anyways, the scores of this fight were ridiculous: 118, 111, and twice, and 160, 130 in a fight that was clearly won by Kiko Martinez with the pressure, and it was clear enough. It was clear enough. I'm not that it was like he destroyed him or whatever. It was. This was Kiko. This was all for Barrett, and Kiko deserved a win there.
It was a really close fight. It was definitely, and even Eddie Hearn's, Zelfi's manager, he said also, like, this is not. I like what he said. He said, he's my fighter, but it was maybe he won by maybe a round or two. That's it. It was a very close fight, and that's a disservice because. Not just to his opponent, who fought very well, but also to promote fighting here in Britain. Why are boxers from other countries going to want to fight here if the judges are doing things like this? They're not going to want to come here for the fights. It's a disservice to the public as well, the UK public. So I like what he said there. I thought it was a very close fight. This kid Zelfa, he's young. He hasn't fought a guy like Martinez, Kiko Martinez. I mean, he was almost running forward.
Yeah.
You know, and now pressure makes it very difficult for a finesse
Well,
fight at distance.
Hey, Doc, like running after him, eh? Like, cause he's from Spain, right? Like the running of the bulls. I'd fill that in there.
Never against the Spanish fighter, never wear red.
Never wear red. No, definitely not. Yeah.
You know, just going back to that Josh Warrington fight, 1 second, because I just remember this. Yeah. He's got to learn how to clench. All the great fighters know how to clench.
Yeah, you're right.
They all know how to clench.
You gotta, when you're hurt, when you need to buy time. It's machismo to like not hold, but you gotta grab somebody if you're hurt, and you better get that 2-3 seconds of breathing
just to clear your head. Yeah, for sure, it's so important. But he obviously didn't know. He, at one point, even dove at him head first.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, sorry. Back to that fight. Yeah. So it was a close fight, but you know, Zelfa's got this is great experience for him. He's got to fight against guys that are pressure fighters and learn how to handle that. But watch some of his previous fights. He is a very skilled guy. Yeah, he's
good, but I mean, he's nothing to write home about. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And a guy that gave him that much trouble, Kiko Martinez, Kiko was like, I wouldn't even call him a gatekeeper because he's way better than that. And he's a veteran. He's a veteran at that weight class, in the smaller weight classes. So if he had a hard time with a fighter like that, I mean, you can't compare fighters too, right? Solid fights and all that. Yeah. Whatever. Come on, man. Let's see where he goes. Let's see where he goes from here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the truth.
The truth. So let's move.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, you go through. Did you need a rant or something?
Garcia.
Oh yeah. You love him, man. I miss him, man.
I watch all his videos, all his stuff.
He was pretty comical.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
With him, it was like whenever there was a press conference, no one even wanted to talk to Danny Garcia. It's like Angel. All questions were directed to Angel because he's gonna say something, and you know it's more entertainment. You know, Danny's like, I'm not come out and whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
But then there was like so many fights on Saturday. Then we got at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We got Richard R.C. Commey, 33 from Brooklyn, New York, by way of Accra, Ghana. Now is 30-3 with 27 KOs with a 6-round knockout TKO over Jackson El Phoenix Marinas. And Commey, we know, hasn't fought since his knockout loss to Teofimo Lopez. So this was a great bounce back fight for him. And even the great thing was that you got Teofimo Lopez. He came to his dressing room before the fight, and they showed that and everything, and he was there supporting him. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. I like Teofimo Lopez. He's a good guy.
Very classy.
Very classy.
Like that.
You know, we love. Yeah.
Like how Commey responded to it and said, "Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We should all be."
That's how we all should. Yeah, exactly. That's how we should all be, right? Support each other. You know, when you fight each other, it's a brotherhood. We're both putting our lives on the line, and there's that mutual respect. Maybe it's not shown during the fight because you fight. It's a fight, but when it's all said and done, we're great friends, and we respect each other, and
true
like that. True. But so Commey So Marina's like he's got some credibility too, right? And Marina's a good fighter.
Yeah.
He he had that controversial loss that we seen earlier against was it Rolando Romero Rolly, that's a TMT fighter. He got robbed so bad on that fight. That was a TMT promoted card. So obviously he's gonna get the decision. And then he fought, I think, a couple weeks ago or something, fought again, and he looked bad again, man. I don't like that kid, anyways. But the Commey fight was great, man. Comey's is a dangerous. He puts himself back in the thick of things, right? In that 135 weight class.
Yep, he's a real knockout threat. No matter who fights. I think he would do better in a rematch with Lopez, with Teofimo Lopez. I think he'd have a better fight. Do I think he'd win? I don't think so, but I think it would be a better fight than this first outing.
Do I think he wins? Hell no, you're gonna beat Teofimo Lopez. But one thing is, if you fought somebody and you've been knocked out by them, you know, it's a big mental block that you have to get over to go in the ring again and fight the same guy that that knocked you out, right?
True.
Commey knocked down Martinez twice in the sixth round, and the second knockdown was pretty much the end, and it was like it was a one-sided beating. It was great to see Teofimo there and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
in the dressing room. So this is what Commey said about that. He's like, after our fight, I saw Teofimo in the lobby, and we chatted and we hugged. He always liked me, and it's pure love for him to come down to my corner. It was motivating. It showed tremendous love, and that's how it's supposed to be. We gotta love each other regardless of where you are from and who you are. And I appreciate it as a sport.
Good stuff, man.
Love that's that good stuff, right?
Sport. Yeah, I do because I think it's important. I think as pros and as professionals representing, people, representing communities, that it's a really positive thing to put out there, especially about boxing, which gets a bad rap sometimes in the public's eye. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I like seeing that in combat sports, especially.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and it's good for the sport. It's just good for the sport.
Yeah. And then, let's carry on, because this was the ESPN card, and Commey was the main event. And then on this card too, Doc, it was this heavyweight Jared, the real big baby Anderson. And you know why he's saying he's a real big baby? Because you got Jared, Baby Miller. What's the name? Jared Miller, or whatever. The guy that used steroids so many times and got caught, and Baby Miller, whatever. But he's a real big baby. He moves now to 8-0, 8 KOs. He's from Toledo, Ohio, only 21 years old, and he looked good against Kingsley, the Black Lion Abia, originally from Arizona, from Nigeria. 5-1, and he's a strong puncher. And it was a 6-round fight. Because there's a lot of talk about this kid being promoted by Top Rank and everything, and that he could be the next black heavyweight guy. But we'll see. He's only 21. There's so many things that can happen before he can reach that level. Is he gonna stay committed to the sport? Is the big thing, because when people start, he's getting all this fanfare now and stuff, and all this media attention that may get to his head. He may take his foot off the gas pedal, not train as hard. There's so many things that can happen. He may get a girlfriend. He may, who knows? What can happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's potential right there. The 8-0 and 8 KOs, and that was
sorry, go on.
Nice knockout. In the last round.
beautiful when he needed it.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing he said at the end of his fight, he said, "Bring on all the contenders."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I love to hear. Not the contenders. He said, "Bring on all the prospects.
Yeah.
I'll take them all on."
Good.
I love
that.
So
yeah.
it just shows that the mindset is not bring on the champs, like bring on Wild, bring on. He's not saying that at all.
Yeah.
He's saying bring on he's saying I'm a prospect. I should consider the top prospect. So bring on all the prospects. I'll beat them all. That's basically what he's saying. And I like that. That puts him in a good position after.
And that shows he's smart. That's a smart, intelligent thing for him to say.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's part of his management team as well. I think they're gonna, if they carry on smart like this, we're gonna see this kid for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's got power.
And he's 6'4" too. He's a big dude. He's a 2-time US heavyweight champion.
That's amazing, man. That's
he's got some credibility behind him.
Yeah. I'd like to see him. I like him too. I like his personality also.
Yeah, me too. Then there's another fight. This was Argentina versus Brazil fight, and this was Brian Boxy Castellano from Argentina, 31 years old. Now he goes to 17-0, 1 draw, 12 KOs with a unanimous decision over good fighter, 31-year-old Patrick Teixeira from Brazil. The scores of this fight are 119, 109, 120, 108, 117, 111, and Castellano becomes WBO super welterweight champion. So he picks up a belt.
Yeah, I like. The other guy was tall.
He was tall. Yeah, he's 5'11", right?
A 4-inch reach advantage too.
Yeah.
So I like what this kid did. This Argentine fighter.
Yeah.
He knew with his feet. He knew how to close the gap, get in, and start throwing punches. He was able to get inside this long, skilled fighter, almost at will. And I liked seeing that. I like these Argentinian fighters are tough too. Right?
They are. I fought a guy from Argentina. Have you heard of Omar Navarez? Do you remember hearing?
Absolutely.
I fought him at the 2000 Olympic qualifier, right? And it was the first fight, and he was a number 2 in the world. He was Omar Navarez. Nobody thought I was gonna win, man, in Tijuana, and he was after me. He's a little southpaw. He was shorter than me. I couldn't believe it. he was on me nonstop, but I beat him. 4-1.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good memory. Argentina has a lot of good fighters.
Yeah, Sergio Martinez came out of Argentina.
Yeah, Carlos Monzon, one of the greatest fighters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Marcos Maidana,
holy smokes, they're all tough.
Yeah.
All tough guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. The way this guy was able to, and he stayed low. He stayed small. He kept himself small.
Yeah.
Not so easy to hit, and fun little fight actually to watch.
It was high volume punches, especially by Castellano, right? And that pressure.
Oh, that was really fun.
You got to get inside on those taller guys, right? And break them down, chop them down.
Yeah, have to. It's the only way.
Yeah. So, Doc, so we got a huge fight coming up on Saturday, and I'm so excited about this fight. And we got Miguel Berchelt versus Oscar Valdez. And this is Doc, do you remember HBO always used to show what was that 24/7 remember 24/7 when the big fight was coming up and they show them training. They have a blood, sweat, and tears one on this one. There's 3 episodes, and the hype. Oh, you should just watching those. I love watching those because you get to watch. You see them training. And they're how the sacrifices that they're making and stuff. For the people just see when the bell rings and that, but they don't really see what goes on behind the scenes before they get in that ring. There's so much hard work put into and one thing is about Valdez is I give him a lot of credit, and I think maybe he'll be the better conditioned fighter because his work ethic is one of the best ones I've ever seen in boxing.
Yeah. And he's a volume puncher. Well, he's a combination puncher.
Yeah. So we
very skilled.
Yeah, very skilled. Very skilled. They're great to watch. I mean, Doc, regardless of what happens in this fight, I think Berchelt will stop him, or when I think he'll stop him. I think Berchelt does get the stoppage. Regardless of what happens in this fight, it's going to be a classic. It's going to be a war because Mexican fighting, it's toe to toe, and that doesn't say that they're not smart. Why are they not? Why are they going toe to toe? Because they're very smart, but they fight toe to toe. But they do a lot of other stuff in toe to toe range. That's so smart. Anyways,
right. If that's the way they fight, why would they not fight that way?
Yeah.
Why would they fight to conform to the way their opponent fights?
Yeah.
And if they need an opponent that fights the same way, well, each guy's got it in their mind. Well, with this toe-to-toe fighting, I'm gonna edge this guy out either through my will or through my inside skill, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it is an art toe-to-toe.
Yeah, and look at their record. So Miguel Alcaran Berchelt is only 29 years old, still in his prime, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say only 29, but he's still in his prime. He's got a few more years left. He's 37-1, 33 KOs. I just look at that, I'm like, wow.
I know, he's got power.
From Yucatan, Mexico, and then you got he's a WBC champ, and he's like we said, fighting Valdez, who's 30 years old, 28-0, 22 knockouts from Sonora, Mexico. They live close. I guess they live close to each other. So Berchelt, he's TKO'd at the time, knocked out and TKO'd an undefeated Francisco Vargas. You remember those fights? Those were
that's when he won
fights.
I think that's when he won the belt. Was it?
The WBC.
Yeah.
And the Mexicans love the WBC belt because that's Jose Suleiman, and they love that green belt, right?
Yeah.
And he TKO'd Miguel Roman, who was 60-12. He in the unanimous decision over Takashiri Miura. I think you've heard of that guy, Miura.
Yeah, Miura. That I watched that fight. That was a tough fight for Berchelt. He didn't look as good as
you're right. He didn't. You're right.
He got pushed.
Yeah, he did. And he's beaten Soraya Takahan, who's 60-2 now. But some of Valdez's opponents that he's beaten, Jason Velez, he TKO'd Velez, TKO'd Adam Lopez. And coincidentally, these guys fought on this card, on this same card, Velez and Adam Lopez. Adam Lopez beat him, majority decision, I think it was. Yeah, majority decision. Then he's also fought Scott Quigg, and in the Quigg fight, right? Quigg fight, he fought with the jaw broken. Did Valdez?
Yeah.
So that shows, that how tough this guy is. We knew he's tough, anyways, Mexican, but he's fighting with a broken jaw. I mean, that says a lot. And he also broke Quigg's nose, and that was a brutal fight, that one. He also beat Genesis Cervania, who was undefeated 29-0. and he's also beaten Hiroshigi Osawa, another Japanese fighter. You know, the Japanese fighters in the lower weight classes, they
Yeah.
they do really well in the lower weight classes.
Yeah. They're
And
tough as well.
yeah, and he also TKO'd Avengi Gradovich. That's the Russian.
The Russian Mexican.
Yeah, the Russian Mexican. Yeah.
Because skilled fighter and a combination puncher, and he takes care of defense now, because I think it was after that real brutal fight where he got his jaw broken, Quig fight, they started working on a little more defense with him so he wouldn't take so much punishment, and then you saw it in that fight you mentioned.
And then one thing you got too is that you got Valdez, who's in the camp with Eddie Reynoso and Ryan Garcia and Andy Ruiz and Canelo Alvarez. So there's a big advantage there.
Wasn't he first trained
his dad or something? Or
and then they switched to these guys.
I think so. I think
and
that's
they started helping him with defense. That's right.
Yeah. Because if you love him or hate him, Canelo, like, you look at his defense and it's sick. It's something to behold, whether he's juiced up or not. I mean, like, his defense is something really to, because Mexican fighters aren't really known to be defensive like you see a Canelo defensive. I mean, they're not to say that Mexicans are like, they're not smart and they just fight. They got their hands up tight, their defense is tight. But Canelo is like going like this, making miss there, underneath, slipping, rolling.
Amazing.
Boom, boom. That is nice to see.
What a fighter.
Yeah.
And so we got some good fights coming up too, eh? Like some other good fight besides the Valdez fight. There's also going to be the Chocolatito and Francisco Estrada.
I was waiting.
I love this kid Estrada. He's not a kid
anymore. I love Estrada too. I love Chocolatito. And I was just watching the Kalia fight yesterday. Just a replay of it. And it was nice to see Chocolatito. He's very humble. He knocked out Yafai and everything right away before he went to go celebrate. It was make sure he's okay.
He's such a gentleman.
Such a gentleman.
Arguello, right?
Yeah, Arguello trained him right at the beginning. At the beginning, Nicaragua.
Yeah, that's true.
So we only got like a few minutes left, but just quickly, the talk about let's put this whole talk about Manny Pacquiao and Ryan Garcia to bed, because like De La Hoya said today, that nothing has been signed. There's nothing. We've approached the guy that makes the decision in Pacquiao's camp, and no, we're trying to get a hold of him. Nothing's been signed. Nothing has been. There was just that mock poster that Ryan Garcia put out. Whatever. It's not happening.
Okay.
I doubt it will happen.
Right.
So let's move on from that.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm just going. This is not on the docket anymore.
Okay.
This is just because I'm on Instagram. When I follow a lot of boxing stuff, whenever I see something, I snap it and make sure I have it in the tool belt. So then I refer to all the things and then get the notes ready for
good.
That.
Prep is.
Yeah. So Doc, we're like almost at the hour.
Okay.
Anyways, so let's just call it a day. We'll be back on Sunday, and we'll definitely be talking Berchelt and Valdez and I'm sure this fight is a guaranteed barn burner.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, good.
All right, Doc. All right.
Okay, boxer.
Okay, Doc. See ya.